So the topic of the panel discussion for tonight is reclaiming public spaces for social inclusion and sustainability. We're going to focus on the important role of having inclusive and sustainable public spaces in urban life, and specifically in Nicosia. And through that, we're going to discuss some practical interventions about how urban spaces can be transformed to foster inclusivity, sustainability in the broader sense, and community engagement. So, Mr. Yiorgos Hadjichristou is an architect, professor at the University of Nicosia, and member of the NGO Urban Gorillas from 2013. He is a recipient of architecture awards, including the State Architecture Award and nomination for the Miss Van der Rohe. He's co-editor of 5 books and author of the one book. He co-curated the Milan Triennale 2016 and Venice Architecture Biennale 2018, the Cyprus Pavilion. He's gonna let us know a bit more about urban gorillas and the practices. And Iacovos Loizou is an urban planner, researcher and artist based in Nicosia. He holds Master's Science in Urban Design and City Planning from UCL, and his experience is around sustainable mobility planning, urban design and academic research. As the co-founder of OPU, Organization for Positive Urbanism, an NGO, he's actively engaged in urban resilience, soft mobility and the climate crisis, all while social issues. So yeah, we're gonna start with Yiorgos Hadjichristou.
Good evening, everyone. Do you hear well? Yeah. I would like to thank Iacovos and the whole team, and I would like to say that I'm very happy being here with you, from so many countries, so many identities, so many youth spirit that we all desperately need. Yes, I'm a practicing architect. I work at the University of Nicosia. I'm curating exhibitions of architecture. I'm a member of the NGO Urban Gorillas. So I will show you a blending of all these sort of activities, starting and focusing mainly on the work of the Urban Gorillas, as we'll discuss with Iacovos. And then I will lead you to a presentation where it shows how all these activities, sometimes without any payment or as an activist, retrofits our thinking, our mindset in dealing with architecture and architectural education. So, there's no sound there, maybe a little bit. I made it the low sound. This was our, a little bit. Yeah. I will translate that. So this is the last year's festival we did. I co-curated the festival with Teresa and Veronica from the Urban Gorillas, but we are a huge team, and we were very happy to collaborate with the neighbors. So the first step to a successful kind of social intervention is the synergy, is the collaboration, and not to be your own creator of anything in relation to the urban realm, in relation to make spaces inclusive, sustainable, etc. Here you can see more than 40 events that they took place, and they addressed activities to all ages, children, youth, grown-ups, and elderly people, and many kinds of expression. Many of these activities, they took place in a form of workshop. It sounds a little bit weird. I don't know how to treat the microphone. So it's preparation through, maybe you can, because it might be tiring. Now, is it better? Anyway, it's a preparation through many months, but I think the success of this festival also relies on the fact that the urban gorillas, they're placed in the neighborhood of Kaimakli. Kaimakli is in the outskirts of Nicosia, and used to be a village which was called Buyuk Kaimakli, Big Kaimakli, and Small Kaimakli, divided by the Green Line, where Greek Cypriots lived in the first, and Turkish-speaking Cypriots lived in the smaller part. So I would like to state that the Urban Gorillas was sort of created by Veronica Antoniou back in 2013, and we are dedicated into improving our, not only improving our publicness of the cities, but claiming it in many different ways, as we said, to engage the actual people and generate spaces in their urban realms that are healthier, they're greener, etc. And also we would like to give back to the people pleasure. We believe in Henri Lefebvre's argument that we need to deal with architecture towards enjoyment. So yes, the public space is our main target, and how do we do that? We try to hijack places, be they abandoned, be they empty or parking lots or whatever. We hijack them, and together with the people, we offer it back to the people through the activities. The Urban Gorilla started with smaller projects like this abandoned bus that was converted into a green kitchen bus, and also through this interesting green lab that we invited specialists from Berlin. It was Marco Canevacci with Plastic Fantastic, if you know them, and Daniel Mancini. We generated a series of workshops with our architecture students and with young architects and not only architects, and we sort of inflated these bubbles, these inflatable structures, into monuments in order to claim the monuments as parts of our everydayness, our everyday life. How this was done through open calls, meaning that we try to use as much as possible democratic processes. So people, collective artists, NGOs, anyone could really send out their proposal to us, and we accommodated in every city of Cyprus a lot of activities, and we enlivened the city. We also created the first time a kind of a questionnaire for 2,000 people, unprecedented in Cyprus, to ask the opinion of the people, what it means a public space for them. So this is another one of the first projects of the Urban Gorillas, is the Urban Dinner. If people know a little bit of Larnaca, this is one of the coastal cities that the airport is there, and there are these promontories, the tiers that they are not of a lot of use, only maybe at the night. So this urban dinner was created in order to bring people together, and the food, the table and everything, and the person's hands. And hence it came out of this cloth that you can see. So it attracted passerbys, people that were just happening to pass by, or other people, random people, and brought them together despite their color, their nationality, their language, their nationalities, etc. So this is another one interesting, how we deal also with the notion of memory. This is an abandoned village a Turkish Cypriot village called Iacovos. We had many incidents in the Cyprus series of events. Like we got our independence in 1960 only from the colonization by British, and in 63 we had already problems in dividing the population, the Cypriot population, in Greek-speaking and Turkish-speaking Cypriots. So this is a Turkish-speaking Cypriot village that was abandoned since 63, and we invited many artists. We did lots of trials to bring new ways of reading, if you wish, the spaces. This is actually a space that is very favored by youth and people that want to do all these music festivals or go around there and do some extreme sports. It doesn't move on? Okay. And another one interesting project, if it plays. This was in an abandoned commercial center in Nicosia, and the municipality asked us to bring life during Christmas in this one. We did this installation with the fabric that they use as the scaffolding, but the main activity was to throw all these paper kites in order to send a wish to the immigrants. We have lots of asylum seekers in Cyprus. I'm a refugee in my own island, and we are all of us future refugees due to climatic and financial and other sort of crisis. So that was the message that we wanted to generate, the notion of empathy among the people. So Pamela Magli was created also in 2013. I sort of initiated it with a group of people, and since 2017 we organized the Urban Gorillas. So it was a community festival with cutting edge, if you wish, performances from various countries. Like here we see from Venezuela, an archaeologist has a band there with music, an amalgamation, a very famous female choir in Cyprus. So this started with the open houses, where a series of houses in a street were open from morning until late evening, in order to become a public realm. And all the people, they still remember this event, and there was no theft. There was nothing dangerous that happened there. Maybe we were lucky, but people remember that, yes, my houses can be open again as they used to be in the past in the Cypriot society. So, and then the year after, we thought that people got tired about having their houses open the whole day, so we made open windows and we injected cultural activities within a room that's adjusted to the street, and people could watch the performances from the windows, while we also dealt with the notion of the courtyards, which is very characteristic to the traditional typology of the built environment in Cyprus, and it revealed the characters of the people with all this vegetation and all this setting within the courtyard. And then we talked about ephemeral and spontaneous urbanists or momentary urbanists, where we inflated these structures in the streets to claim them as a stage for a cultural life within the street that usually you see lots of cars passing. The next one was in 2018, the Adopt an Artist, which we dealt with the notion of we shall bring the art to the neighborhood. The museums may be obsolete. The museums, as we know them, that they are for rich people, usually. They cost a lot of money, and they are concentrated in big cities where the money is flowing there freely, but then you have to pay a lot. So why not every person, every owner of a house to become the curator, invite and host an artist and the artifacts, etc. And that was an interesting moment for as a thematic of the Birmingham Mackley Festival, and the year after we had the open kitchens where we invited, in 7 houses, we invited 7 immigrants that were with 15 people, and they cooked together, they ate together and discussed about Mackley, and the immigrants served as the chefs or the instructor. So we gave voice and presence to immigrants that usually you don't see them anywhere. They just work somewhere maybe 20 hours a day, and then you don't see them anywhere. So we made them feel, and it made us feel also as part of the same community. And then we have in 2020, during the pandemic, the Delicious Place, where we created, Veronica and Teresa created this vertical garden. We invited the neighbors, they planted together, and they took care about this, they took care of this urban garden in the square of the church where cultural activities took place also. So then I will skip to show you how these activities may retrofit our approach into architectural education. I'm from Famagusta, Mexico City. You will visit on Thursday, yes? It's an urban war monument of modernism. It's very painful for me when I go back there. And I live along the dead zone. I live in Kaimakli. So all these porosities, all these borders, they make me think not a very bad repercussion of the war and everybody cries, etc. But rather it gives me the opportunity to think a little bit about porosities, about freeing the mind out of these borders. Yeah? So one of our students dealt with Famagusta, my hometown, which is very iconic to have all these hotels and brilliant, luxurious apartment blocks for the rich people on the coast, built on the sand. And I argue that this shouldn't happen. Why only the rich people? Why only the people that have the capital should enjoy the beautiful coastal line of Famagusta and the nature and everything? When I was a kid, there was a wall that I couldn't find my way to the beach. And when I go there, I remember this very, very strongly. And then because everything was built on the sun, now there's a lot of corrosion and they cannot sustain it. What if we get the rubble, if there is going to be any reunification, and generate new public realms for people out of the rubble, so that we don't make more garbage, yeah? And this triggered the opportunity for the students to think about building as a verb, as Ioannis Palasma argues, if you know about it, that the building can have the qualities of a verb rather than the static qualities of a noun. And we have nature and living, coexisting and growing together, like in this. Or the same, some other students, they brought the same ideas to Sahara, where they dealt with certification of the sand in the inverse skyscrapers that exist because people are building buildings one above the other while the desert is crawling, is sprawling, and they cause cultural events and even find diversities within the depth of these inverse skyscrapers, while other students dealt with the earthquakes in Italy and used the rubble of the earthquake along the various buildings, including the traditional or classical buildings, and create something else in terms of a new urbanity. Other students here, it's in the United States that one city was discovered that they had underground mines and they started burning and nobody could deal with it. What if we take in advantage of us the methane that was produced and create inflatable cities where you can also cultivate and retreat the traumatized earth. Also, interesting enough, not only to deal with, currently, the argument is about the commons, the notion of commons, yeah? probably you know in your studies as young architects. And we have the right to the clean air, we have the right to the water, to a shed, we have the right to everything that is on the contrary what the capitalist and neoliberalist says, that we don't have the right, we have all of us to work a lot to have a cultural center or a place like that. That should be offered, we think, by the government or the municipalities. But also we have to come into discussion to accommodate animals, biodiversities. Here a student of ours from Barcelona, I think, or Alicante, she put a kind of a video camera on a dog. She went to walk in the city with the dog and documented all these obstacles, all these threatening moments that an animal could meet within the built environment. So yes, today there is a lot of arguments on bringing life and have a symbiosis with our co-inhabitants in this earth. While the student of ours, Anastasia Milona, dealt with a new urban realm which has vertical development within the Nicosia, where she gave a right to women, where women have all these fears of working at night or even in their work. So she created a kind of a new society where women, female citizens are equally participants, if not protagonists, in our built environments. This is done in the Venice Architecture School after our Venice Biennale pavilion of Cyprus, and we dealt with the students that gave them voice in a way that we turned upside down everything that seemed to be normal, such as their desk. I think that's designed by their teachers, their prevailing architects. Having done this everyday change of their living and working environment, it immediately gave birth to ideas about claiming the publicness, because you have to turn things upside down. Right now in Venice, the squares serve mainly for the cafeterias, mainly for people that get money. Why not to claim them for kids, for elder people, and for the animal world also. So another way that we deal with our students is that we want to expose them to other senses, like the sense of the touch, of the hearing, smell, and trusting. So blindfolded, I think I was leading them. They went to the buffer zone of common cooperation, and they documented the space through other senses in order to enhance other understandings of what the buffer zone and how we can deal with that. So after 2 weeks of study, they already presented their ideas in the Buffer Fringe Festival of Performing Arts. It's an international festival where they wanted to explain how we can join forces, all the communities of Cyprus, and maybe through eating or through facilitations that allow people to get together, we can lead to a peace. So this is the Venice Architecture Biennale we co-curated with Veronica and Alessandra. And we wanted to state a voice of resistance towards the globalization, towards the colonization. And we wanted to, this is called I Am Where You Are, that we are always part of what you are right now. This experience will bring parts of you to me and of me to you, and we can, in synergies, create our built environments with collaboration. As you can see, there are moments where parts of our body are scattered in the environment, which was filled with works of students, NGOs, artists, architects, monuments, etc., etc. While we draw lines, yeah? We start drawing the abstraction. That abstraction is needed to be understood, that it will hold cultures, events, human activities, social topographies, and we are responsible for this. So this is what we wanted to teach to the students and young architects. While in the Milan Triennale, we dealt with the notion of this shadow art. We had all these elements, architectural elements, and not only. Well, every visitor with a torch or with the light of his phone, he could generate a new cityscape, a new landscape, and that we wanted to show that everyone, every single citizen, and not only the rich people, are the ones that have to say of what an urbanscape should be. So this is also retrofitted my work as a practicing architect. This is one of my oldest projects. It's a high school I wanted when I ended my studies. I finished my studies. I studied in the Soviet Union, in Kiev, and in Japan. As soon as I arrived from Japan at the competition, I was lucky enough to make it. I'm not very happy with the result, but this is a result that shows all these diverse opportunities for students to gather, so it generates identities. Not only the supervised big square for students, but also more diverse settings where students can grow. At the same time, this building, it's another one competition that I won with two colleagues of mine, Maria Skedi, and it got awarded worldwide as the most friendly, accessible public space. It's the Kalenikion Town Hall and Museums of Adienu, where the blending of the infrastructure of this settlement is between Larnaca and Nicosia, adjacent to the dead zone, was brought within the inner parts of this museum and town hall, as you can see here. And then it became a kind of a public space, also the interior of the museum. And the last project is the Smart Dental Clinic, awarded with the state awards, because it brought a connection back with the city and the linear park of the riverbed or torrent, Pidieos, and it became like a hybrid condition and condition between this linear park and the city. Having done this in section, and that gave back, it's accessible all the day, all the night to the people. It's a dental clinic, nothing significant, not a cultural whatever building, and it gives back light to the neighborhood or to the adjacent park. It gives something back to the city. So, and I end up with that. This is the Agora, one project that was granted by, was funded by the Commonwealth. It was a very hard competition. The idea of it is this notion of Agora, which was the early stage of democracy in Greece. Every citizen, but not women those days, and only rich people, could have the role of a president of the society for a short while. So we like this idea of generating in our current life this agora, this very, very adjustable structure which can be inserted everywhere in the city. And as Wendy Brown wrote this beautiful book, The Steel Revolution of Neoliberalism, Undoing the Demos, and she explains that neoliberalism enters all the lines of the society and distracts is undoing the democratic processes. We wanted through this installation, this system, to enter the device of the society and restructure any democratic processes by collaboration and by giving voices to the minorities, etc. Thank you very much. If you go to the website of Urban Gorillas, you will find all this information. And we also did an interesting booklet which we uploaded free of access, which will document all the process that somebody has to follow to reach to this interesting result.
Thank you.
Man, it's fine. Okay, so I'm Iacovos. I'm an urban planner. I'm not an architect. So I have a sort of different way of thinking. So yeah, I came to speak about my perspective, not similar perspective, about understanding public space. So first of all, who am I? I studied in London, urban design and city planning. I then came back and had the opportunity to work on sustainable mobility plans, a master plan for student housing, recreational areas, and high school supporting. And then I worked at a very boring corporate environment where I was dealing with real estate, and I also had this reaction to become an artist, where I did some residencies abroad. One of them thanks to Urban Gorillas for a rooftop project, actually. So that was a very nice opportunity to go abroad, I was in Japan, I was in the Netherlands, I went to Poland, I recently went to Greece for these art projects. And I'm also at the University of Cyprus, where I'm a part-time researcher in an Erasmus Plus program, which is very youth and education related. Finally, my final project is OPU Collective, where I'm the co-founder, and I think you will have plenty to see about. And OPU is more about creating awareness on how we should design our cities, and we are moving towards consulting the municipality on how cities should evolve. So yeah, the impact of public spaces, for me it's very important, mainly because public spaces are a space for inspiration and creativity, and even spaces like Platia Eleftherias, which are very controversial, can be a place for inspiration. And it's very important for you to be in the public spaces and to spend time there, and not to be always in front of your laptop doing laptop work. As an architect or as somebody who wants to change the world, you should be outside, and that's one of my main things I would like to share with you, because even walking or sitting in a park, in a square, that's where the nice ideas come, and I think it's very valuable. And it's not only about you, like having more spaces to interact brings this social interaction. So you meet people, even strangers, you might not talk to them, but you might see somebody there who does something, and 1 year later your brain connects, and okay, you start doing that, like walking and singing, which might be weird, but it develops, and it might be nice actually to dance in the street alone. So yeah, this creates an awareness of, okay, we should create more public spaces. It's not only about me. You create this urban lifestyle where you hang out, so you demand more from the municipality, and you are not just stuck in your own bubble doing nothing and contributing more. So you have this lifestyle, and this obviously impacts your mental health. Being outside is important for you, it's important for your physical and your mental health. So what are the tools to reclaim the public space? For me, as you might have understood, it's observation. So being outside, thinking through the multi-sensory perspective, okay, what am I hearing in this public space, or or in this street, because streets are also a public space. So do I hear birds in these streets, or do I hear four-lane motorway, urban motorway where cars are passing by and I can't really connect with the surroundings? What do I smell? What do I touch? Like, do I touch a nice historic building with a local stone, or do I touch a very mundane, modern apartment which has nothing to give back to me, at least me? So yeah, think about how this public space is different throughout the day. Who hangs out there in the morning, who goes there in the night, why, and yeah, you should deep into and observe and think and reflect on the spaces. Obviously, you should research, especially if you are not in the beginning of your career. You should spend your night. Iacovos always hates me going to Pinterest, but even for me, Pinterest is fine. But there are plenty of better websites there. You can get inspiration. A lot of books, Cities for People, Soft City for sure is a must, or even more different like Matthew Carmona, Urban Design. Read the scholars, but then you should discuss. Like you should have the opportunity to share your views, and I think one of the SESAM opportunities is to discuss, even casually, about your cities, about the future of cities. So yeah, some brief principles. This concept of flexibility, how the public space will change throughout the day, but also giving the opportunity to people so that they move things around. Like I'm an urban planner, but I don't like to plan things. Like we should plan for disorder, we should plan for the unexpected, we should give the tools to the people to move stuff and like Yiorgos was saying before, evolve and adjust, and these are some of the principles that you should think when you are designing public spaces. Eyes on the street, again, is very important for the public space to have an interaction with the buildings and to have windows so that there is a transparency and a connection. We need active ground floor, and we need a diversity of open spaces because we need the linear park, which might be more suitable for sports, but we need a square which is important for demonstrations or even larger masses of people. And you need other spaces for events. You just need also your neighborhood park, which is for the newly become mother who will take her kids. So yeah, think about how this is connecting, and I would focus on play for all. We shouldn't stop playing when we are kids. So we should always be inspired to play. And I think urban design is very important in pushing us to play and not limiting us. So think about rock climbing, skate parks, but even more. I mean, there's much more, and sense of ownership is something that I will touch later. So yeah, also think about the after design. Okay, we designed something, but what are the tools that we will give to the people so that they can feel that this public space is theirs, but also how can they okay, when this project is finished, what is the next step? What event can be planned there? What community event? What larger event to not only support the locals, but maybe the city? So yeah, some highlights from OPU. This is how we started 1 year ago with a parklet, and we reclaimed 3 car parkings in the sky. It's very close here, like 100 meters. It's next to your house. And yeah, this was it. We just took plans. We collaborated with another NGO, Cyprus Energy Agency. And we took our chairs, we played badminton. It was just chilling about in a space that was every day is occupied by cars. But I'm sure when you see these pictures and you walk tomorrow, you might think, okay, this is better than the cars. So the car-free day, which was piloted this year, we managed to convince the municipality to give us the okay, let's say, to close the streets for one day, to have workshops. It was not over-designed, obviously because of funds. It was very grassroots, let's say. We just took our basketball hoop, and we organized. It was bottom up. We invited people to come and create their workshops. We invited kids to draw on paper, imagine their city. We had I forgot the name, but you know, everybody knows this game, Twisted. Cats, as Yiorgos said, animals, taking consideration the cats of the neighborhood. I'm sure they had a blast that day. They were not afraid of the cars. And yeah, this is one of, this space here, it's a shortcut for cars that don't want to be stuck in the avenue. So if you come every normal day, this is full of traffic, and it's very low density, historic, but on an average day, you never appreciate it. But this is different. Yeah, kids being free, some murals, workshops, cultural walks. I mean, you get the point. Picnic, ping pong, workshops for the neighborhood. We wanted to ask people, and this is where we want to move forward as OPU. We want to collect the information of people and then go to the municipality and tell them this should be done. This is the needs of the people, and to start thinking about having a vision about neighborhoods, which is lacking, at least in the context of Cyprus. So yeah, we also tried to ask the people, because unfortunately this was sort of our idea to the neighborhood, so we wanted to get feedback and ask them, how did you hear about this? Do you want this to happen again? Do you want this to happen every month? So yeah, we got a really positive feedback, and especially the 97% feeling safer in the street without cars was a statement. And this is like the beauty. So yeah, and we also our other vision, let's say, is we want to a lot of attempts from the national bodies to promote road safety, to reduce speeds are very I don't know, we can't relate to them. So we try to bring these graphics in to inspire people to have an identity. We call the event Lau Lau, which we want to pitch as a nationwide campaign, which means slowly, slowly. We want to encourage people to be slow and not to rush and to go from your work, from house to work, back to work, back to the house. And we want to be slow and appreciate our neighborhoods and appreciate our neighbors. So yeah, this is part of having a sloth walking his dog with his friend turtle. So these are the things we want to focus on. So yeah, this connects to observing. I'm not sure why I put this, but this is one of the actions we do. It's part of the future of reclaiming. So we want to encourage people to observe, to think through this multisensory perspective, to actually take notes, observe why this local park is always busy on a Sunday but never on the other days, to understand the needs of the people. And we want to encourage these activities, we want to empower. We are also and now starting some free GIS trainings at our OPU house. So the data that is collected here is spatially connected, and we can then use to advocate for reclaiming public space. So yeah, this is very enjoyable. And this is our OPU House Commons. This is our physical space. And this is where we want to create like a hub where it's openly any day, every day. And people can just drop by, have a chat with us, come for the events, but also we are developing how we took this abandoned building in Iacovos and put life into it. So yeah, it's a platform for meetings and for ideation, brainstorming. And my favorite part, although I don't like basketball, is that basketball hub. It's always outside, and yeah, I'm starting to learn basketball without me knowing. So yeah, that's it. I hope you are enjoying your time in Nicosia. You feel inspired from the beauty of this space. I love and hate this city. So yeah, I think we're ready for it.
Yeah, so as Iacovos said, OPU House, the space of OPU Collective is a community collective space, and it's open to the neighborhood and not only. So we are more than thankful for them that they share the space as one of our co-working spaces, maybe the only one. And it's like financially accessible. We can use stationery, it's very cozy. So if you're around Iacovos Loizou, if you have the time, which I don't think so, to go out of the old city, you can pass by and have a look. So from what I wrote down, I think both of you mentioned reclaiming space, giving voice to the people, and maybe a question for both for you. Why are public spaces so essential for fostering social inclusion and in urban environment? I think from the side of Yiorgos was more on demonumentalizing public spaces that I really liked. And from the side of Iacovos was maybe creating spaces play for all. I don't know if it's the resume, but can you give a bit more insight of why, and maybe when it comes to identity, collective identity, I don't know, maybe this one was.
No, that was the monumentalization was for one of the projects because it was called Green Urban Lab. It was funded by EA funds, Norwegian and Liechtenstein and Icelandic funds, and that was had a different target of claiming every nook of our cities as a public space. Usually from the older times, the monuments are what are left behind for our civilization. And usually they represent the power, or the one that had money or governance, etc. So we have the palaces, the churches, and later on we have the banks, big buildings in Cyprus. Right now we have many museums because they're becoming also kind of corporeal. And they most of the times, rather than not, They also define publicness, they define the spaces around them. So maybe you experienced also, like during the financial crisis, you can see a lot of development of many either restaurants or places that give the impression to the people that they're free to go and spend some time, etc. What happened in Cyprus is that all these restaurants, all these cafeterias, they started sprawling. There was, for example, a bench around Phaneromenis area, very near from here, next to here, that it was occupied, even the bench, that it was for every citizen to sit there, by the restaurant. It means that you go there, you pay for your coffee, you pay for your food, in order to be in an open air space. At the same time, we have Eleftheria Square, that is, you all know Zaha Hadid. She even didn't visit Cyprus. And we have Eleftheria Square. It's the main square that is this super exuberant design. It's top-down design because it's very well documented from the air, from a drone, with beautiful drawings, and it doesn't engage with the nature, the identity of the people, and you feel like you cannot touch anything there, etc. So we believe that a public space should be for each citizen and not be restricted either to rich people or to majorities of the island of Cyprus, maybe, but it should give voice and give opportunities for their presence to minorities. And as much as we grow, the minorities is what they consist, the societies. We have many identities. Among you, I guess there are many people that identify as non-binary or whatever, or you want to be identified as an activist or whatever again. So we have all this plurality and diversity of emergence of identities, which I think we need only to celebrate. So we need to claim and give voice to all these people and groups of people in the public spaces. But what does it mean, public spaces? Something that is officially announced as such. Is it a square, a lot of the squares in Northern Europe? Or is it something like, as you said previously, a street or an abandoned plot, and we have many of them in Cyprus, or a house? You remember, maybe some of you know about the movement Occupy, where the youth occupied buildings and other premises because they were abandoned and because they shouldn't be abandoned, while there are people that are in need of shed and in need of a cultural home, yes? So we believe that the publicness is something that is demanded by us, and we believe in the pressure by the community. And that will bring a change. If there's no awareness, if there is no consciousness among us, among the people, then everything will be dictated by the rules of the capital, and the easy gaining of profit will lead to the urbanism that is dictated by others. While we have the right and we have the power, all of us, creating our small groups, our small communities, and demand every place. And if I want to end with that, what is publicness? As an observer, and you stated very well, Iacovos, we need to be very good observants. In Cyprus, there are people that they cry a lot and they want back their lands, they don't even go to the north. Fair enough. I belong to the other group of people that they want to take advantage of all these bad things that happen to Cyprus. And one of them is generating the green zone. You know why it is called green line, the buffer zone? Because an officer, a British officer, used just a green pen in order to designed the division of Cyprus. But in fact, it became green because these areas were lacking of human activities, and therefore nature took over. And nature took over in a way, and also in Famagustan, because it's who used to be in Ghost City, now it's a theme park, and you will experience it by yourselves. The nature takes over and dissolves the borders. We don't realize what is a property, what is a road, especially in the season where there is thriving of vegetation. And then this leads me, and when it dries out, then we can distinguish a little bit the borders. And that leads me to thinking a little bit about who creates these borders of properties issues. Why should always this space should be deemed as private? Does everyone has the right to the land? Yes. If I was born poor, don't I have a right to have a shed? Yes. So we need to negotiate, and I think a sustainable contemporary urbanism should include the notion of expanding the public realm into the private and vice versa, of shrinking and expanding, of being temporary, maybe ephemeral, maybe responding to the weather in order to accommodate the human activities and social activities. And I think that is a kind of a key element in the claiming of the publicness.
Yeah, so I totally agree that the community is the key and the core to each public space. It should be demanded by the community and should reflect their needs. So I think public spaces have the opportunity to, like I said, inspire us. So as humans, we feel the open, like going out is beneficial for us. Meeting people there. Public spaces are ideal for dates, are ideal for meeting new people, are ideal for playing, for relaxing. We need this as humans. We don't, I think going from home to work and then, yeah, the basic stuff, that's not inspiring. There's no point. Okay, that's more philosophical. But yeah, I think we should design spaces that reflect the community, the needs, who are currently in this neighborhood, who will be the residents in 20 years, like how the demographics are changing. And yeah, there are vital asset of each cities, and I hope Nicosia had more public spaces. Yeah, which is for me the biggest potential of Nicosia is to unite, at least connect, not unite, the existing public spaces, pedestrianize some streets so that they connect these public spaces, and they are public, not only for the cars and those who own a car. So yeah, the potential is there.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, maybe? Yeah?
So regarding like private properties, I fully don't understand how it worked with when people had to leave the houses. The property like is still, because there's so many like empty lots on both sides. So they belong still to the people who have left, or then they change their own. Like, how do they deal with this situation here in Nicosia, yeah, especially? Because you were talking about making private spaces public, but temporarily. But how does the city deal with this issue at the moment? Like, how is it?
You want to say something about the property issues, and then I continue?
My understanding is that we have a lot of issues with inheritance as well in Cyprus, because maybe some property which is abandoned now was given down to the generations, and it's like the uncle and the nephew, and they have fights. The nephew wants to do like something more social. The uncle will say, no, we need money and we need it now. I don't give you 1,000 euros to restore it. And there is a lot of blocked properties, at least in Nicosia. And this is all the other problem is, as you said or imagine, is that some properties belong to Turkish Cypriots and vice versa on the other side. So yeah, we have a lot of plot ownership issues which need creative thinking to be resolved, and incentives.
My observation is it goes steps further. I wanted to show a part of the documentary today, but I cut it because of the time length of the 20 minutes. I'm in front of my hometown, Famagusta, and it's this beautiful coastline full of these buildings. And 1/3 of them belongs to a family. Famagusta, you will see it, was created just recently before the war. Actually, they were building lots of new buildings because the British, when they bought Cyprus from Turkey in 1878, and they announced it as their colony, I think in 1925, they built a harbor there in Famagusta. Immediately there was a sudden development because it was super beautiful, it attracted many tourists. So many people really made huge profits immediately. How do you make huge profits? You exploit other people. And sometimes you use some ways that are not right. You take advantage. My argument, because of what happened in Famagusta, and most probably many of these buildings, you will see them, they need to be demolished because you cannot maintain concrete well anymore. They got erosion. I'm questioning why should they keep having these properties even if it's inherited? My question is about the socioeconomic system, that we need to think out of its constraints, not to accept that, for example, there is a new movement. In Cyprus we have 2 big British military bases. Why should we accept it? Because once they occupy it, why should we accept all these big companies and abroad and locally that they own so much land, while we know very well that they didn't really manage with their hard laboring to have it? My question is more radical, if you wish, but even say that your question is valid. I mean, how do we deal with the regulations, legislations? Either we need to change them. Why in Limassol, you don't know, it is a coastal city in Cyprus, and all of a sudden, the last 5-6 years, they're rising every month. New skyscrapers. Why for? For the Russians, for the Israelis, that they commit genocide in Gaza and Palestine, and then bring the investor money, and they cast shadows on small houses. They change the landscape, the identity for the profit making. Why? I mean, legislations, regulations, they allow that. That's how you make the profit. Why should we keep accepting all these things and not demanding, maybe you as youth or us as part of the community, to start demanding changes and occupy, as the Occupy movement, lots of these things are abandoned. And you know, also in the global scene, there are all these corporeals that they don't have a face. They are blending their money and their profit. They buy properties in many cities and they let them without being really exploited for years. in order to buy more and more, and all of a sudden there is booming of need of accommodation, and then generate this crisis in order to become richer and richer. And we allow this happening. So I think we need to be observant, to be cautious, to think not through the official media. The official media dictates a different opinion. We should find our resources of truth and information, but also we need to work as communities in order to demand changes. And we have this power. So check about the Occupy movement, that might help you to understand. Or the squatting, there are some rules in UK and other European countries. If there is an abandoned building, you can squat it and then you can claim it. And now they want to change again these regulations. So there are ways out or ways, but the problem is the expansion of and the growth of the capitalism and neoliberalism. We talk, and that's very well that you name it as a slow it down, please. You don't need to develop. You don't need to have development all the time. You don't need to grow all the time. You know, and we're talking about also slow architecture. Does anyone hear about it? Check it out. There are new notions, new cutting edge, radical notions about architecture, about urbanism, that they talk about these issues. We talk about the growth. We talk about the notion of commons and other things. So the land is common, it doesn't belong to the rich families. Like many things are common.
Thank you. Any other question?
Did I answer your question?
I wanted to ask, just because like it's very easy, if it's private, then private can sell to privates, and because it's very easy to gentrify, like to do something wrong with this, like abandoned plots of land, because if it's in the hand of the privates, like of the people who own the plot,
Yes.
and there are no regulations which impeach them to sell it to bigger private
That's
investors.
also
Yeah.
a constructed situation that it leads to gentrification.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Feels
but
like
there
it's on a
are,
hold.
apart from the gentrification, and honestly, when we're doing our public Kaimantli festival, and everybody knows now about Kaimantli, and we want to enliven our neighborhood, we're afraid of gentrification. Hopefully it will not happen. But there are many other mechanisms that the profit makers use, apart from gentrification, in order to occupy everything that gives them benefits. And we need to be aware and conscious and fight with this.
Any other question? No? Ah, yeah, okay.
Thank you for the lectures. They were so inspiring and fulfilling. Also, I wanted to ask, like these days we were spending investigating identity topic, and broaden our understanding of Cyprus. But you work with communities, but how do you inspire them to make this step and go out of the comfort zone? What future you're showing them? Which, like, I don't know, feeling you show them for them to want to do something? And also, like, who you consider as like citizens, or is citizens who like you give them like they are revealing when you make some, I don't know, task for them, and who is active with it is like considered citizen, and how is it? What can you say about it? And how you connect past heritage, culture, history with future you may construct in your heads, in your works, and what you want to see, like in cities and countries of Cyprus. And how do you like combine that in your works and which like tools you use? Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't read my notebook for this. What was the first question?
Okay, so the first question about how we engage with the community. Personally, I'm inspired from Yiorgos, the other co-founder, who is more confident and easy to talk with and sociable than me. And I think it's about being genuine and honest and connecting with the people on as a people, connecting as people and going there, and especially with our experience, we get a lot of negative feedback, like especially with the card-free day, it was, or even discussing about reducing the card dependency in Cyprus, we get a lot of negative feedback from, like, for example, the kiosk owner. But when you create genuine connections and they see you every day there with your bike or walking, and you actually have contribute to the local business, you are part of them, you are not just a foreigner. I mean, you build connections where they start to slowly trust you. It's an organic process, and like we even talk to the priest, to the art school, to the residents. You have to talk with everyone and trust the process, which is long. The second question, who are the citizens? I never thought about this. For me, everyone. I mean, maybe I didn't understand the question, but yeah, you should also think about who is the future citizen. And as Yiorgos said, if your actions will lead to disruptions to the community, you should reflect and put some mechanism. And so going to the third question, which is vision and cultural heritage. The third one was cultural heritage and future.
How do you connect like inherited culture and history and future, and how you personally see how can we transform through these actions, through these active actions, into what kind of future for you personally?
I think heritage is context. Like, we live in Nicosia, which is full of history. I mean, we can't just do placeless buildings that could have been designed in London or Frankfurt, or I mean, it should reflect the local context. And I'm not a designer as such, but yeah, I mean, understanding the needs of the people, and even if they know about it, being connected to your heritage and to the architecture is very important. So yeah, it should reflect the needs of the people. And if the people don't demand this, I think it's our role to inform them and inspire them to be connected with their neighborhoods and their architectural history, so that slowly, as we said before, the community demands better appreciation of the heritage. And the fourth one was about having a vision. I assume that's how I understood the question. So for me, vision is my cares, I would say, because I always see the potential of the city, and especially when we are talking with OPU in our meetings, we want to do things because we see the potential of changing and switching some things in Nicosia that can unlock the potential of the city, and to create a vision, because this city lacks a vision. For me, and my experience as a planner, it's about controlling development and saying yes or no to the private investor who will wants to focus on one single plot, and doesn't care about the whole neighborhood. So for me, it's very important to have a vision, to think like, for example, the linear park, which is a very big asset, how it can be like the backbone of the city, and to connect this linear park to the city center, so the whole city center is connected to a linear park that connects to the suburbs, and start connecting the puzzles. So I have this Pladia Eleftheria, which is questionable. I have an even more questionable new square in Old Recipe. So how do we connect Magariou, Pladia Eleftherias, the Old Town, which is here, the linear park, to the suburbs? What is the vision and what is the action plan? What can we make small, easy wins, let's say, to connect this vision? So yeah, I mean, going back to vision, to have a vision, you have to be outside, you have to walk, you have to cycle, you have to drive, unfortunately, and be stuck in traffic and feel like an idiot, so that you appreciate when you are walking. So yeah, I mean, it's a process of observing, reflecting, discussing, saying something out loud that you, and then you go home and you say, why did I say that? Maybe I should say that next time. So it's about learning, and yeah. So back to you.
If anyone wants to interrupt us, so it's not monopolizing. If anyone wants to say something, otherwise I can continue. Yes, so we don't monopolize the discussion. I think it's healthier if we share the microphone with every one of you.
Yeah,
I have many things to say.
I got introduced to OPU when you first shut the street in the core of Iacovos. And answering the question, how do you engage people, is actually you kind of remind them that, oh, it's nice to come together, it's nice to be able to go into the different shops and art centers that are in your neighbor, to come together and do a workshop. Doing it reminds you that it's actually nice if you haven't done it before, or sometimes we forget, we want to stay home, but it's actually very nice to come together. So maybe just that is enough to start engaging people with whatever you want to, or yeah.
Thank you. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I can say that if you want. Or shall I
we are closing soon. Maybe you can finish. Yeah, maybe you can.
Best, yeah. So, community, yeah? There are many ways. What we do there, we are there. Walking every day our dogs to the office, meeting the people, we are there present. And then we do have gatherings of people where we ask their opinion, and they say many interesting things. They question us, they try to advise us how to improve things. And then we have potluck parties, closing the street, and the last one was very successful. We have a video also at the Urban Gorilla side where we have so many immigrants and mixing with the people that live there. So we have many mechanisms to include the community and ask their opinions. We work very, very closely with the schools, either kindergarten or high schools or lyceum. We have very good relationship with EASA. It's a kind of a group of elder female that run a space, a home for elder people with many activities per day. We made workshops with them, we created documentaries about them. We tried a lot I think what we are failing a little bit is to approach more the Syrian community, because we have lots of people from the Arab world, especially from Syria, and they feel still very intimidated, but you can watch this beautiful British movie, The Old Dog Pub, which shows how you integrate immigrants with the locals. And then we go to think who is citizen. For me, everyone. Even the ones that the Cypriots call them that they are illegal because they enter from the north. For me, everyone has the right to be a citizen. And I said even the dogs and cats, birds, etc. All of us need to have a say. So citizen is every human person, and not the dictators, sometimes architects, sometimes rich people that they dictate what is good and what is bad in our cities. Cultural heritage, we had a very good roundtable discussion the other day, just 5 days ago, where they started demolishing all these traditional buildings in the center of Nicosia. And if there is, and we got to the vision, if there's lack of a vision of what a healthy, sustainable city can be with social cohesion and environmental approach, then we're failing. If we work separately, even the government, the fire protection authorities work separately, and the town planning, which works separately from the municipality. I made a whole research. I was given a project by the municipality of Nicosia, and I documented all the area outside the wall. It's full of modernist buildings and traditional buildings, and even vegetation. I documented every plot, even the documentation. I handed this research back in 2008, and they started demolishing now lots of things because they have done nothing. The municipality assigned this project to me. I submitted it. The municipality sent it to the town planning authority, but they didn't do anything, even with reminding them a few times about the necessity of protecting the cultural heritage. But mostly, maybe the cultural heritage also is about immaterial processes, how people live, what they do, and how you deal with that. Nowadays we're multicultural societies, and we need to engage into the existing social processes, new processes that they came from elsewhere. So I think this notion of cultural heritage is a constant evolution of processes and buildings and methodologies and other ideas, but they go hand by hand. So I want to make you understand how significant this is. The British colonization enacted a regulation in Cyprus, urban regulation. If you have this plot, to step back 3 meters from the sides of the plot, from the borders. That segregated us abruptly with our courtyard typology tradition we harness through thousands of years. Cyprus has 12,000 years of history, and then British enacted regulation that immediately they cut down any evolutionary development of this courtyard typology that included social cohesion and bioclimatic living environment. And our young government, until right now, nobody questions to change, make any change about it. And the stupidity was that they enacted this regulation to avoid incidents of fire, because it happened to UK. So we have all these traumas of the British colonization without us questioning. There are many things that you need to be alert. But in the very end, I think they are intertwined. In one magic way, one sort of is related to the other, and we are suffering because of these mishappenings and our maybe wish to be engaged and to be observant.
Thank you so much. I didn't know about this. I mean, I knew about the urban planning, but I didn't know that.
Nobody talks about it, but I think this is the worst impact of the colonization in Cyprus, but I guess similarly in many other countries. This immaterial, this organization, the corporate organization, not that they went and they destroyed the traditional buildings, but they don't allow evolution, which was developed in this island of Cyprus through its context, its history, and we don't build, I mean, we build alienated, many of us build, alienated to the island, to the society, to the climate, architecture, and urbanism. This is shocking, yeah, it's really shocking, but we need to be aware of it and try to do something about it.
Thank you so much. It was inspiring at the end. If we don't have any other questions, maybe we karaoke, no? Maybe we have some karaoke, right? No. Because it's already late. Thank you so much, both of you.
I know that you're not gonna be here, but on Thursday we're gonna have a nice mini festival in our Kaimakli neighborhood in 10 locations. We will have 10 installations by a group of 55 students, first year students in my university, University of Nicosia. Maybe you can see the videos and
Yeah, actually we were considering to collaborate if we were having bigger spaces, but due to, as I think, similar reasons, it was a hassle to find spaces in all Nicosia. And yeah, it's really nice. Unfortunately, we'll be in our excursion. I hope you don't steal some of our participants not coming with us. But I think, yeah, so yeah. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. I would like to thank you. Give us opportunity to, while preparing and thinking about the premises of the EASA workshops here, it put me in a process of thinking things differently. So thank you for this opportunity.